Hi, in this tutorial we will continue with the study of PLSQL. This is part 3 of 3 parts. Okay, so now in the first examples I say that the programs that we were doing, they were returning when we were doing the select statement, we will just returning one answer. I mean, that means we were getting just one row as the answer. And then I say, what about if we got more than one tuple? Then we need a cursor. So in this case, this is the idea. We define that, and then uh, maybe we can define it like in this example. We got a cursor which is going to be C1, and then in this case it comes from this table. So for example, from customers, I'm getting the CID, the CNAME, and the city. So that means getting a multiple rows. Then if I got that information, then I'm gonna have to have a way of manipulating too, right? So we a cursor can be seen like uh, getting the data into a table or a segment from the table, and then we have some type of pointer. When we open that, we have like that variable pointing to that location, and then uh, it points to the first record, and then when we fetch, we're moving that pointer to the next record, and and then once we're done with that, we should close that. So that will be that those are the main things. So we open, we fetch, and we close. So here is an example. So we define the cursor here, which is in this case C1, and then again it comes with the idea that we got multiple answers. So we're getting the identification and the name and the city from all from table customers, and then we also have a variable which is C1 rec. So now let's see the difference between C and C1 rec. So C1, we can see that like a table of a segment of a table because there are multiple rows. While C rec will be just one row, one element, and that's what the one that we will manipulate one at a time. So here we begin by opening C1. That means we're doing the execution, and then we fed that C1, and we get the first element from there, and then we display, and then and then in this case that's it. So we got the information of the first element. We didn't do any looping. So now here is something that may be useful when we're doing deceptions, or like in case that we don't found that, or other type of what to do, or other type of cursor attributes that may be useful for a specific program. So now here, this is another example. So if this is not open, then open C1, and then we're fetching. So we're getting the first one. And now the difference with the previous examples, and now we were looping. So in this loop, if this is still an element, if this is still another one, then continue. So you see on the previous one, we didn't know. We just went to the first one and we're hoping the table is not empty. At least we got one, because if the table is empty, there is nothing there, then we will have an error there. So here, uh, there is one more. Okay, then print the information, and then here fetch. I get the next. It's like moving the pointer to the next record, and then we check if there is something there yet. Yes, if it is, then do it, and then we continue with the loop. Right, so we exit the loop when there is no more records there, and then we close the cursor. Here is another way of implementing, and then the difference between using this for statement and using the while loop is that the open, fetch, and close are done implicitly, so we don't need to be that specific. So we just do the the for loop until, I mean, since the first record until the end of the records. The last item that we will discuss from PLSQL are triggers. So triggers are good for also checking constraints or integrity constraints, because these are statements that will be executed when an event happens in the database. And those events are usually an insert, delete, or an update. And then so insert them is we want to get a new, I mean somebody wants to get a new in a new element in a table, and then this is an opportunity for us to check for some particular constraints, and then they want to delete, and then we need to, this is another opportunity to see, okay, I need to have at least this number of people in the employees, or this is not allowed. I mean, this is something that will be helpful to check for constraints. So here, this is, they call it the ECA. There is an event that we check for a condition, and then we take. So an action. So what is it that happens? Insert, delete, or update. If that happens, then we check for a condition. If the condition is significant, what we say, then we're gonna execute some action. Here is an example. Here we got a create or replace trigger. This is the name of the trigger. So this looks like a function. The difference is there should be some type of event. So now the event can be a before, it can be an after, one either a delete, insert, or update. So in this case, it's a before. They're trying to update from table employees attribute salary. So before that happens, we check for this, and then we say the new salary is greater than the old salary by more by times 1.2. That means they want to increase the salary for more than 20%. Then we display the message. So this is the action. So this is illustrating the event, the condition, and then my action, I just displaying, in this case, a message that says that's too high and that's not allowed. And again, for the events, we have the update, the insert, and the delete, and the timing can be before or can be after. Now, something else to check is the what we specify it. So this is something else important. If the for each row is specified, then we, in this case, we execute the trigger for each one. So for example, there are 5 employees that needs they want to update the salary more than 20%, then we display the message the number of times. Why? If we don't have the for each row, then just, I mean, once that happens, the title event, then we just do that once. Here in the restriction, something else to talk about it is the new and the old, and that's a way of checking for the new and the old is when we're using the inserts and updates, and then and the old is again for the update and the delete, what happens with the data. In the all, obviously we will have that information for the insert, because this is a brand new record, so we only have new information on there. Let's see one more example. So in this example, so again this again looks like a procedure, and this is just the remember that here the one to make the distinction is here we got events update or delete of employees. So look at how here we got a variable total salary. So once they delete employees, we want maybe to update the budget for that department, because we sum all the salaries, we get that into the variable employees, and then we display that information. And I will stop the tutorial right here, and that will be all for